Black Hills State improved to 2-1 overall and 1-0 in the RMAC on Saturday with a dominant 55-19 victory over Chadron State in its home opener in Spearfish. It was a great overall game by the Yellow Jackets as well. I'm Alex Dodd, and this is the Black Hills State Football Show presented by the Rapid City Journal. We'll do this for 20 to 30 minutes each week and take you inside the program with Yellow Jackets head coach Josh Breske. Coach, how's it going this morning?
It's going great. We're preparing for Mesa. We leave early tomorrow morning, and I think the guys are still riding the high from the Chadron win, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Well, it was a big win for your program. I know we went through the stats of how long it's been since you guys have won back-to-back games against Chadron. Haven't done it since the 60s. How important of a victory was it for you guys? And you kind of talked about it, how it's symbolic of the change that you guys have been able to make in the program over the last few years.
I think it was a very important victory for us, for a number of reasons. We were trying to get our footing a little bit going offensively, defensively, and I think it all just came together on the same night. So it was really exciting to see both sides of the ball play really well on the same day. I always look towards recruiting. We recruit so closely against Chadron State College, and we had the most recruits that we've ever had show up for this game day visit. And to be able to put together a performance like that against, kids who are looking at Chadron, looking at us, maybe looking at South Dakota Mines, I think it spoke volumes to them, and had a lot of nice messages from recruits after the game about, hey, that was an impressive victory. Glad to be a part of it. I can't wait to hear from you, Coach. And, that matters. It really matters in the grand scheme of things. There's very few players to begin with in this region. And, that means there's even fewer extremely talented players. And so we have to have the name recognition. We have to have a little bit of respect in this region to get into these high schools and pull competitive athletes out of this region. So, big win for our program in that sense, and just a big win to kind of get the monkey off our back a little bit. I know, they were kind of thinking Chadron that last year was a fluke when we went down there and beat them at home. And I think we kind of proved to ourselves and proved to anyone who was curious about that it's not a fluke. We just have continued to get better every year.
I'm sure it helped with recruiting too. The atmosphere in Lyle here on Saturday was probably the best that I've seen it since I've been going to games. I mean, the home stands were packed. Obviously, Chadron travels pretty well too. But how great was it to look back in the stands and see a packed house and everybody participating in the blackout back there as well?
It was incredible. And, we were a little late to announce the blackout theme for the crowd in game week, and it was still awesome to see everyone pour out and kind of suit up for game day somewhat. But from what I understood, talking with my wife and people, I think the tailgate was awesome. The band killed it. Our administration, new video board, the sound system, and just the sheer number of people that came out to the game. I'm 100% with you. That was the coolest game day environment I've ever been a part of. It was insane. There was one point we turned around and I can't remember, one of those touchdowns we scored, our offensive players kind of started engaging and, with the student crowd, and it got so dang loud, man, I couldn't even hear myself. And I was just kind of looking to the people next to me like, dude, this is crazy. So it's exciting, man. It's humbling. I'm very proud of our guys. But yeah, that crowd was insane. I mean, you said it.
On kind of a different note in regards to the crowd, it seems like it's a really good time right now for football and Spearfish generally. The high school's 3-1 and off to a great start. How do you think all of that kind of feeds together in the community when, the Spartans are playing well and the Yellow Jackets are off to a good start too?
Absolutely. I mean, I think there's something to be mentioned about the difference between history and tradition. There's a long history of football here in Spearfish going back to when it was Spearfish Normal, and football started back here in 1899 here at the college. And, there's a long history of even with the Spartans, the Spartan football team. And I remember when I was in high school, they were winning state titles in 2002, I believe 2004 or 5 as well. Had some incredible teams through that year. I think we have great history. I don't know that we that we can lean on tradition at Black Hill State or even necessarily Spearfish High. But I know for us, speaking for my program, we're creating tradition every single day. And there's going to be some new traditions, as far as beating our rivals and getting used to beating our rivals. And I know Dalton Wademan, who's an old teammate of mine, is doing the same thing, creating culture, and not just, putting signs up in the locker room. That's not creating culture. We're cut from the same cloth, and changing the hearts and the minds of the players and getting them to understand what's important in life, and being part of a team and what that means. It's been incredible to see his program grow almost congruently with our program. And so I'm very proud to call Dalton a friend and proud of that program. And it was great to see the home opener, watch the Spartans kind of whoop up a little bit. And, I think they're out. They're best players out right now, and they still produced very well this last weekend.
Yeah, you guys produced well this past weekend as well. 556 yards of total offense. Tanner Clarkson, 18 to 24. Nolan Susel over 100 yards. Hassan Williams with a school record 246 receiving yards in a single game, and tied for first in program history with 4 touchdown catches, which I don't think either of us really realized that at the end of the game.
No.
I think there was a little snafu in the stats, but Hassan went off and rightfully so earned RMAC honors this week.
Absolutely. And you go back and watch some of those throws that Tanner was making off platform, and just, not having to necessarily crow hop or gather and take a huge load up on the throw. He saw Hassan late on one of those and kind of just flicked his wrist. And I was blown away just to see his arm strength, really showcased on Saturday night. And, down at Lyle Hare when we're practicing, we split the field 50-50. And so we don't really necessarily get to air it out all that much at practice unless we're doing situational stuff against the defense and we have full field. But that's seldom. And so that kind of blew my mind to see how strong his arm was without getting his feet necessarily under him on some of those touchdown throws. But he's starting to relax and calm down and lead this offense. And it was just a matter of time for Hassan, to be honest with you. We got to keep getting him the ball. It's kind of been my motto, is get zero the ball. He had very few touches in 21. He had more in 22. And you're going to see him touching the ball even more in 23 in his senior year. And gosh, he's just such a good dude too. I don't know, Alex, if you ever get a chance to talk with Hassan much, but the dude's got a zest for life, man. And he has always got a smile on his face. He never complains. He's a great teammate. He exemplifies all the things that you want in a football player and a young man. And so it couldn't have happened to a better guy. But the way I'm looking at it, it was just a matter of time. He is so talented. So I'm excited for both those guys and happy for them.
Yeah, talking to Hassan after the game, it sounded like, for him, it seemed like this had been a process that had been building up to him being able to have a breakout game like that on Saturday. So it's always good to see somebody put in their time and then see the results on the field as well. Talking about your defense on Saturday, got on their heels early. Chadron State was able to get one behind you for a long touchdown. And they really buckled down after that point, only allowed one more score in the game. They stopped the 2-point conversion. It seemed like that could have been a turning point for them as well on that side of the ball. What did you see from your defense this past week and to date so far this season?
Yeah, that opening drive kind of shocked us a little bit. I think it just more or less surprised us. All week we talked about winning the first quarter. And point-wise, we ended up winning the first quarter, but we wanted to draw first blood. We wanted to take the first swing. The message all week was, if they win the coin toss and defer and we get the ball, we're going to march down and go score. If it's the other way around and the Eagles start with the ball, we must get a stop. And credit to Micah Smith, who's a good friend, their offensive coordinator. They found a hole in our defense, not necessarily a hole, but a mismatch in empty, and they came out in that empty package right away before we had a chance to get to nickel, or what we call delta, and they took advantage of the mismatch. It was a great call by them, and we immediately got it fixed, and kind of see they didn't really necessarily have any more success with that mismatch because it just wasn't there the rest of the game. But you know what I really like from my team is after that score, and stopping them on the 2-point conversion. Like, nobody was panicking. There was no oh crap moments on the sideline. There was nobody wearing a here we go again face. And it was just, hey, there's a lot of time on the clock. Let's just go operate. And so it was awesome to see our offense come back and get a score after that. And then things just started rolling, man.
Yeah, your defense in the red zone too. They've been pretty good so far this season. We're really good on Saturday. I think Chadron was 1 of 4 once they got inside the 20. How have you kind of seen those guys buckle down over there? And then, your offense, your red zone efficiency so far this year, you're batting 1,000, 13-13 in the red zone with 10 touchdowns.
Wow, I didn't know that stat. I'm glad you brought that up. Go back and look at 21 and 22 red zone efficiency on offense and defense. We've been easily in the top half of the conference, and I'd argue probably maybe even top 3 in a few of those. Our red zone defense has always been great. That's a main credit goes to Coach Jordan Brown, my defensive coordinator, for he just spends a lot of time understanding what teams are going to try to do to us down in the red zone. And our guys have a back against the wall mentality. And it certainly was that way. I remember in 21 where we were giving up a lot of yards, but we weren't giving up necessarily a ton of points. And our guys would always buckle down in the red zone. I think that they like a short field, even SBU. In week 2, we had long fields and gave up touchdowns, but anytime it seemed like defense had a short field to defend, we were making them kick field goals, and so I don't know necessarily that it's a mentality. I think a lot of it just comes by design of who we are on defense. And I thought they were stingy all day. That first score leaves a little bit of a sour taste in your mouth, and it could kind of clog or fog the memory a little bit of what actually happened in the game. But, I feel like we stopped their run. They had their chunks in their quarterback run game, and they did some things to us that we didn't expect them to do. But overall, I thought we played really, really hard. We played really physical, and there was just a lot of incomplete passes. There was a lot of quarterback hurries. We only had that one sack, but we got the quarterback uncomfortable, and that was really good for us. And LV coming up with a pick in the red zone. Anytime you can get a red zone turnover, that's a game changer.
How important do you think it is, and with the way college football is today, with offenses and seemingly so much of an advantage that offenses get in the game today, how important is it to buckle down when you get those short fields and you're able to force turnovers in the red zone, like you say, or stop guys from getting in the end zone? I think your defense is allowing 8 of 14 in the red zone in terms of red zone conversion. So pretty good rate down there. But how important is that in today's landscape of college football and just the way the offense and defense work?
Yeah, it's extremely important. And you hit it on the head, Alex. I mean, you look at a lot of the rules changes, even our new replay system, plays that are reviewable and plays that aren't. It's an offensive favored system. That's okay. I think it's just something that we got to live with. But nobody wants to go watch a 6-7 cat fight. Everyone.
I love a 6-7 cat
you
fight.
Do?
I mean, those are my favorite kind of games.
Man, those games.
I'm old school.
Yeah. Those games stress me out, the old cat fights. I like a shootout, honestly. I prefer a blowout, but I'd take a shootout over a cat fight any day. But anyways, I mean, I can tell you, being an offensive player back in the day, it's demoralizing to get shut down in the red zone, and it can get very frustrating. So outside of just the point differential and taking away an opportunity, scoreboard-wise, it's a morale killer. It can be a momentum killer for offenses when you get shut down in the red zone. And I think it's an energy spark on the other side for our team that when teams are going for it on 4th down, we're getting our offense ready. We're yelling, "Hey, offense up! It's 4th down. We're probably going to get a stop." And that's just the mentality that we try to impress on our guys, that we're not hoping to get a stop. We're expecting to get the stop and get the offense back out on the field. But yeah, we've got a great defense this year, and our statistics necessarily aren't lining up with how hard we're playing and how well we're playing at certain positions. But I know it's just a matter of time before that the solid play will turn into an explosive output, much like we saw with the offense this past week.
You guys head down to Grand Junction this weekend to face Colorado Mesa at 1 p.m. Mountain Time on Saturday. This is a team that they've had an offensive lineman throw a touchdown. They They beat a Division I team. What have you kind of noticed from these guys in film study outside of the things that were on the Sports Center top 10?
Absolutely. Coach of our put together a very athletic team. They've gotten better from last year to this year, undoubtedly. They lost their quarterback to the transfer portal, Carson Hunter. There was a small little sliver of hope that maybe we were going to get Carson Hunter here because he's a South Dakota guy. And he ended up going to IUP, and he's starting for those guys. But Gavin Herberg was their backup quarterback, and he ended up stepping up these first 3 games. And I think they were playing a couple different quarterbacks in the first, 2 games. And it seemed this last week, Gavin really, was the starting quarterback and rocked out the whole game. And he's an extremely athletic kid that we recruited when I first got here out of Pine Creek High School in Colorado. They were state champs his senior year. And I really, really wanted Gavin to be a Yellow Jacket. And he ended up going down to Mesa, and he stuck it out there with his team, and he's done a really good job. We have to limit him. He's very athletic, and he's a very dangerous quarterback. I feel like, maybe they drop off a little bit at running back with the loss of Julian from last year. He was a really nice tailback, number 0. But overall, Alex, very physical defense, a defense that we're used to. It's the same defense that they're running last year. They're going to throw a couple different mix-ups at us, I'm sure, a couple different blitz packages. But overall, it's nothing that we haven't seen from Mesa before. We just got to expect a really physical game, and we have to get our feet in the ground and get our hands ready to punch because they bring it, man. They're very, very talented football team and a much improved team.
Mavericks forced 3 interceptions this past weekend in a 38-30 win over South Dakota Mines. They're second in the RMAC in INTs so far this year. How important is it for you guys to take care of the ball this weekend? And also, how much does it help to have a veteran presence at quarterback like Tanner Clarkson?
Absolutely. It's very important. And then I really highlighted that with the team, how well we've been taking care of the ball the past 2 weeks. And, I believe the last interception that Tanner threw was the second play of the season, down at St. Thomas. And other than that, we've been taking care of the ball really well. We haven't been putting the ball on the ground offensively, and I'm going to knock on wood because I'm superstitious or a little stitious. But, we've been taking care of the ball really well. And obviously, that's a goal every week is to come out on top in the turnover margin column. But, we got to protect our quarterback. It kind of stunk. I believe the first offensive play of the game this last week, tight end went the wrong way, and we gave up a sack on the first play of the game. And those just can't happen. What I can live with a little bit is maybe a coverage sack where our guys are straining and everything's locked up downfield and Tanner tries to escape and is not able to escape and takes a sack. What we can't allow to happen and what I can't live with and our players can't accept is mental mistakes leading to sacks. We have to take care of our quarterback. He's playing extremely well. He is a leader. I kind of talked to you after the game, Alex. One of the most just chill dudes I've ever been around. Doesn't get high with the highs, doesn't get low with the lows. It was good to see him smiling after the game, but he was completely clocked in and focused during that entire game, and you couldn't get a smile out of him. So I love that. I like that about Tanner quite a bit, and I think our guys really respond well to his leadership style.
Yeah, I was messing with Tanner after the game. I said, yeah, Coach Breske just told me that you were getting a little too emotional down there on the sidelines. And he gave me a nice chuckle on that one. Seems like he's really happy being a part of the program up here in Spearfish. I think he said it was his last visit, and he called his mom from the hotel and told her he was moving to South Dakota, pretty far from home for him, but he seems like he's fitting in well with you guys.
Absolutely. And, when we were recruiting Tanner, we called his head coach at Northwest Oklahoma State, and coach was like, "Hey, this not a super emotional kid. He's not going to give you a ton of juice and that type of stuff, but he's a very solid quarterback." And we're able to see that on film. And like I said, we courted a number of quarterbacks, transfer quarterbacks, that is, between December and January 15th. And yeah, we're very blessed to get a guy like Tanner. And I really wish we had him for another year after this, but right now, can't be thinking that way. Can't be thinking about next year. It's even when we're recruiting a little bit, there's this guilty pleasure of, well, I got to recruit, but I feel guilty about, man, we got to stay within the game plan. But, there's got to be balance, so not to go off topic, but certainly thinking about the future, even in the present, with a huge game on our hand this weekend, another conference game and a great opponent to go down and play. And I don't know if you've looked at kind of how they've beaten Black Hills back in 19, 20, 21. Those were some handy wins. I mean, they got after Black Hills State in those games. And I believe it was my second game ever in 2020. They came up in that COVID year in 2020 and they ran away with it. They got after us. And so we have a lot of players in our team who have been on the opposite side of those blowouts. And I think it's just kind of the same storyline this week is we got to set the record straight, and we got to let ourselves know and let our fans and our people and let everyone on the outside understand that this is a new BH, and we're not going to get used to losing. We're going to get used to winning. And I want our players to get used to that. I want people like you, Alex, and people outside our program who keep an eye on us to get used to that and not be skeptical when we go into games. Right now, we have an expectation to go out and win every single game, and I don't get a sense from anyone on my team that that's not the case.
Well, obviously, the last several years, the RMAC's kind of run through the state of Colorado. And how important is it for you guys to go set the tone in the league on the road and get off to a good start on that side?
I think it's very important. Momentum is a huge thing. We had some good momentum to start last season. And then, we let our ego get in the way of our preparation. We let confidence overtake focus. And so that's a little bit of the warning sign that I shared with my team this week. I said, I am not worried about your guys' confidence at all. We have a lot of confidence going into this week, but confidence won't cover up mistakes. We have to play good football. We have to play mistake-free football. We have to execute blocks. We have to tackle. We've got to do the simple things well, and no amount of confidence is going to make you make a play. You have to execute. And I know we have a veteran group, and those guys understand that. And, what used to worry me is long trips. It really doesn't worry me anymore with this football team. We already did our longest trip of the season in week 2. We did a long trip in week 1, a trip down to Grand Junction. This is going to be like a little vacation, a little business trip. And we travel well. And I think it's important to note, look at the 2 games where Mesa had to be on the road. That's not a fun trip, I'd say, out to San Diego, and another long trip up to Rapid City this past week to pull out 2 incredible wins. I think that says a lot about their football team. So, like I said, Alex, we got to play our best if we want a chance to beat Mesa this weekend.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you joining me, Josh. Thank you to all of you for tuning in and watching the Black Hills State Football Show. Looking forward to bringing a lot more of these the rest of the year.
And what I'm thinking about doing, Alex, too, is the next time we do this next week, I'm going to choose a different location every week. And so I'm going to keep you guessing on where I'm going to be next week for this deal. And we won't have the boring office dim lit situation going on. All right.
Okay, good. Well, I know where you are right now. That was an easy one for me. I might have to guess the next few weeks.
Sounds good, man. Well, take care. Thanks for having me, Alex.
No problem. For Josh Breske, I'm Alex Dodd. Thank you guys for tuning in.